small business, look no further than the family-owned and operated businesses in every context. Whether that's the local grocery store or now downtown coffee shops or textile experts or retail centers or any number of any other businesses, if they aren't solidified here, then the other economic development can also anchor and secure. Because where do people want to live? Close to where they work. And what else do they want there? Well, this is a rich community with community centers, an incredible senior center. And now we're investing in early childhood and pre-K and investing in, the public educational system. So all of that vibrance gets both reintroduced and lifted up all at the same time. Now, it's certainly come to my attention. That's what happens. We were a little late because everyone said, let's just commit that if it's important enough to spend $2.2 million, and it is, then it's important enough to close the gap. And the gap is $5 million. So as part of our $2.2 million announcement and celebration, recognizing the work of the private sector, the associations, the city, and the community here, let's finish it up. It's either going to be right in the executive's capital, a combination with the legislature. Senator O'Neill, I know you can get there to the finish line. We will do it. Because the faster we get it done, the better those impacts are going to be, and the more is going to be felt by the families who, quite frankly, have waited too long. And before I end, because today it's a celebration and a recognition of the kind of work we've all been dedicated towards. There are a lot of other community leaders here, not the least of which is, our infrastructure lead. He's got a very long, fancy title. I can never remember it. So Mayor Marty Chavez, who's making sure that this all stand up, Marty. He's not going to do anything, stay in the seat. But a longtime champion, and I see former Senator Eric Griego's here. This has been an area that he's long championed and been working towards. And it is. They shouldn't have taken 20 and 30 years for us to recognize that we weren't putting money where it belongs, and we weren't supporting families where they are. But these historic opportunities, and I'm going to brag, we have real opportunity to sustain these investments because New Mexico right now has the fourth strongest economy looking at gross receipts this year over last year. Every single one of our sectors, as the Secretary said, is overperforming by national standards. Showcasing that when New Mexicans want something different, by golly, they can deliver. So we can make these long-term commitments to all of these historic neighborhoods, and not just in Albuquerque, but all over the state. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Congratulations to everyone who had this vision from the very beginning. And thank you for allowing the state and the city and the legislature and the county to be part of these historic investments. Congratulations. All right, now, my only real job was to introduce the mayor after I stole his thunder. So now nobody cares about your money. It is a partnership, right? We can identify money. This actually happens. And then the local government doesn't have it in their vision or their priority list. And it doesn't get out in the same way, and it doesn't get anchored in the same way. And I think people forget about that, but we certainly don't. The key is to have effective partnerships with everyone who's going to make sure that we fulfill these visions. And without the city and the city council, without the mayor and their funds, we don't have the combinations that are meaningful for the entire city. So without any further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our partner, Mayor Tim Keller.
Well, everything has been said. Everything has been announced. We're all excited. I should just really pass the mic on here. well, hey, let's do it. Former Pro Temp Senator Richard Romero in the house. Barelas is on. So, I think I would just add a couple of things. First and foremost, I was reflecting a little bit as the governor was speaking on what that partnership is. And I just want to make it abundantly clear that by far and away, it is not even close who the best partner is for the city of Albuquerque. It is Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. She has stepped up. This is yet another example, and this is not her first time partnering with us in Barelas. Right? If you remember back when we tore up that rail yards contracts, and we were at that, it was really fun to tear up a piece of paper. So we'll do that again some other time. But anyway, how were we able to set up the rail yards for what is happening now? It was because of the governor. She called me on her first month in office and said, what should I put capital money into in the city of Albuquerque? And I said, Barelas and the rail yards. And she did it. It was like $10 million. So really thank you. And so we continue in Albuquerque our commitment to revitalizing our historic neighborhoods. And we've seen this all over the city, whether it's the investments in the International District or the investments downtown or even in North Fourth. But Barelas is really the shining star of many of these efforts. And when you combine, that's right. I mean, when you combine the work that's been done at La Esquinita, even things like the Sunset Mix mural, what's right here at our own Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, at the Hispanic Cultural Center, what we're also doing with respect to the Casa de Barelas and the flamenco work there, and I forget the name of it, it's that event center that used to be the Farmacia, El Encuentro, there you go. And so you layer all of these in, right? These are tremendous efforts that are transforming the community, including another one right behind us, right, with HomeWise and the community kitchen work right over there. These are incredible projects. And so we're fortunate to have, whether it's the MainStreet work and the team that helps coordinate all this, both locally and statewide. And so we want to hold up Barelas as a model for the rest of the state and for the rest of Albuquerque about what can happen when a community works together and government works together. So that's why I'm grateful just to be here to share that story with you. A story of a community that, of course, goes back to El Camino Real right behind us, but now today has a bright future ahead of it. And lastly, let me just thank the folks who are actually going to do the work, because most of that money is going to get into infrastructure, and there's people who got to do the infrastructure, and I see them all here today. So Pat Montoya and his DMV team, they're going to be doing the curb cuts and the trees and the landscaping, and they're going to be restoring the canopies so that this isn't the hottest neighborhood in the city either. And so all of that is what we're going to look forward to, and all of that is what I'm so grateful for today. Thank you so much, Governor and Secretary, for your leadership. And now I will do my duties to introduce another wonderful leader in our community. You know, he's been around in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different roles, but it's been a while since Albuquerque has had a member of our legislature in leadership. It has been probably since Senator Romero. And right now, we're fortunate to have our majority leader with us today in the State House. And so I want to welcome him up, Representative Javier Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Secretary Keys. Thank you, Governor Lujan Grisham. This community truly is the heart of Albuquerque. Like Daniel, I cut my teeth here in this neighborhood before this building was here 20 years ago in community organizing. And what's most important to me about these investments is that these are real investments in the people of Barelas. The men and women, the working families that live along the 4th Street corridor and all across this neighborhood. I see many of them here. I see Lisa, Christina, I see Lucas. I see so many of you here in the audience who are here, living here, working here, making this community a better community. Now, as I was thinking about what I was going to say today, As you know, the capital outlay process is probably one of the most frustrating parts of being a legislator. And I'm sure the governor shares in that frustration. But every once in a while, we get it right. There are times when all of these competing interests come together because we all see the value of what we're trying to accomplish. This project is one of those projects. But it's only possible because of the community work behind it. So I'd like for all of you to give a round of applause to the neighbors, to the people from Barelas, the Bareleños, who for many years have been advocating, pushing, demanding investments in their community. I'm very proud to be here today. I'm very proud to be able to complete the funding, right? Another couple million that are left outstanding, and all of the investments that will come to this community in years to come. Because as Mayor Keller said, me being in leadership is one of the first times in 20 plus years since we've had somebody from this community up in Santa Fe looking out for them, and you've got my commitment that we're going to not only finish this project, but we're going to finish all the other projects that we have been working on for over 20 years. Thank you all very much, Barelas. I love you all. Now, the real reason I'm up here is to introduce somebody who doesn't need an introduction. He is one of the leaders of the Barelas Community Coalition and somebody who has been pushing and advocating. And he's been emailing me nonstop and calling me nonstop about capital outlay and other issues. And I'm glad and honored to have him not only as a constituent, but also as a friend and as an advisor. Barelas Community Coalition President Keith Romero.
Can everyone hear me okay there? All right, thank you. Javier, thank you very much. Representative Martinez, yes, I've been peppering him incessantly with emails, trying to integrate some energy into our capital outlay initiative. First of all, before I get into my spiel and pontificating, I want to go through a list of thank yous here. Certainly, Governor, thanks so much for coming down and just infusing the energy. I know you're as busy as anyone right now on the campaign trail, so best of luck there. Yeah. Welcome. Secretary Keys, Mayor Keller, Terry Bruner, and Karen Iverson, who also work with the city, have been instrumental in helping us get things done. Eric Grego, ex officio, former senator, former cabinet member, and just a chingon bareleño who we rely on a lot to help us. So thank you very much. Of course, Councilor Benton, our state representatives, Javier Benavides, Representative Garcia, Senator Ortiz y Pino, who couldn't be here today, but he's also been very helpful in helping a lot of insight. And Senator O'Neill, thank you so much for contributing. We're coming back, guys. The meeting's open, so be prepared. We're also reaching out to a lot of representatives who don't represent the Barelas neighborhood. Barelas casts a very profound network that a lot of people are part of, who don't live in the neighborhood anymore, who claim Barelas. They're very proud of their ties to Barelas. I've talked to people who aren't even from the city, who rented here at one time, lived here, and loved to claim Barelas. So, my dad, who's sitting here right in the front row, had always referred to the, since I was a kid, talked about the rail yards being sort of the Ellis Island of Albuquerque. A lot of folks from outside of Albuquerque came in here and made roots, and if they were passing through, certainly felt at home. So we thank all the people, the broad network of people who have been fundamentally part of invigorating this effort. Also want to give great thanks to the Barelas Neighborhood Association, Lisa, by the president, Dorothy Chavez, who's also been, here since the inception, along with people like Ron Romero, our own deacon, Robert B. Hill, who's on our board with the Sacred Heart Church, people with the Sacred Heart Church, but a member of our board. I see a lot of our board members here, so without them, this all wouldn't be possible. In Mexico, MainStreet, Daniel Gutierrez, Lucas Pedraza, people like that. I use the word unveiling here because that's what it is. This was a vision and an idea from many years ago, at least a decade, if not more ago, that is now coming to fruition with all this help. You know, the history of Barelas is a long one. It's rife with trauma and an idea that things have always been done to us. And that bears out in the history of the community with the demise of the rail yard, the rerouting of US 85, the rerouting of Route 66. Slowly, it just undermined the community. And it wasn't because Bareleños were incapable. If anything, one thing that Barelas has is an unshakable sense of community spirit. An unshakable sense of community identity. And it's that common thread that we rally around. You know, these conversations aren't always easy. There's a lot of diverse interests here in the community. Sometimes it is, as they say, like herding cats, but you know that's what the coalition seeks to be, is a big tent with a lot of diverse interests, representing all the stakeholders and the residents in this community, and coming to some form of consensus on how to move forward. And that's not always easy, so thank you all for engaging that process and bringing it to bear here for us as we're seeing today. We're funded. Yay, thanks. It's good work. I want to thank Christina Rogers. Christina, where are you at? Thank you. Our fearless and tireless, she tires me out. Bringing this all together and making it what it is. And of course, some of our new partnerships. So we brought new board members onto the board from the Hispanic Cultural Center. And also the Hispano Chamber of Commerce. This is our new home. We were once at La Esquinita. We're now here. We hope that remains a community space, as the mayor was alluding to, that it's still a great accomplishment, production by the BCC. But the history of Barelas has been one of neglect and decline, divestment, disenfranchisement. Again, it's always been sort of this idea of things being done to us. But we hope we turn the corner. We hope we turn the corner, and it now is coming about, the dialogue is coming about things being done for us, things being done by us. That's the difference. You know, fundamental to this whole project is that it's community-driven. It's community-driven, and it's about equitable development. And that's what we want. And that's not an easy task, engaging the community and getting the community's input on it. I mean, down to the color schemes, to what things are going to look like, the frontage, to what's going to be maintained and incorporated into the new vision. But all that has been part of a very long process, and we're just excited that it's finally coming to bear. Beyond that, I just want to thank everyone for being here. This is easy going last. Getting to pick on all the. I don't want to reiterate, want to rehash what everyone said, but this is big for us. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your support. Again, legislators and governor and everyone, all our political leaders, we're coming again with hands out like everybody else, but we're helping us. We're asking you to help us bridge that gap to the end of this project. You know, we're starting on that end, the La Entrada. We're hoping that sometime by late spring, mid next year, that we'll be starting on that, and that it won't take much longer to get about to where we're at right here today, near the Hispano Chamber of Commerce. So thank you all again for being here.